Welcome to Healing, Hope, and Health, the program proudly brought to you by Hospice of Washington County, which was recently honored by the Community Foundation as the 2016 Nonprofit of the Year. This award recognizes Hospice of Washington County's commitment to those it serves. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Campbell, Manager of Bereavement Services at Hospice of Washington County. She joins us today to talk about Camp Hope and Cope, a 2-day outdoor experience designed to support children who are grieving. Thank you for being here and sharing this unique story with us about the children going to camp. I'm really glad you could be here today.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about this special camp.
It is a very, very special camp, and so excited about it. This is a camp, it's a therapeutic camp for children who have experienced the death of a loved one or a significant life loss. And the idea is to bring kids together and have a safe place for them to process their feelings and share their story. And doing that all while doing it the way that kids do best is having fun.
Right.
So it's an atmosphere that is really designed to provide support and camaraderie and help these kids see that they are not alone going through this.
That's right. I think that's got to be a huge benefit for children to know that they're not the only ones having to cope with this, just because that's hard for kids to feel isolated.
It sure is. They oftentimes feel like I'm the only person this has ever happened to, and to see them come at camp and hear the other stories, it's like, wow, I can relate, I connect. It's pretty remarkable.
That's great. And when and where will the camp be held this year?
This year we're going to be at the Mount Etna Retreat Center here in Hagerstown, and it's going to be on August 20th and the 21st. We'll get together early Saturday morning and we'll have the day and stay overnight, and we'll return on the 21st in the afternoon.
Great. And what is the age range of the campers that attend?
This camp is designed for children between the ages of 6 and 13.
Okay. Okay. And if somebody's 14, is there some flexibility if all the spaces aren't gone?
Well, we would make the children who fall in that age range our first priority.
Okay.
And then, of course, if we had openings, we would open it to maybe children who are a little bit older, maybe children outside the community, but our first priority is our own children in the community.
And do the parents ever ask, is this a good thing for me to send my child, or maybe they're sort of over it and I shouldn't send them, I'll stir something up?
That's a great question because I get it all the time.
Okay.
And what I want parents and guardians to know is if a child has experienced a death of any kind, this camp is absolutely designed for them. Oftentimes parents think that the child has to be exhibiting some complicated grief signs in order to be appropriate, and that's exactly what we want to avoid. We don't want grief to become complicated, so we want to intervene as early as possible, but it also doesn't matter. It could have been 5 years ago that the death occurred. We still want the children to come just to normalize the experience and help them understand their feelings.
And also, isn't it true that children process death differently at different ages, so that if they were 4 or 5, by the time they're in middle school, they're experiencing this again, but in a different, through a different filter?
They do. As children go through each developmental phase of life, they are reprocessing this grief all over again in a way that age level, that developmental level can understand. So exactly, you're right, when a child is 6 and how they understand death is very different even when they're 8, 9 years old. So it's not always a conscious level, sometimes a very subconscious level, but it's important to be able to continue to address at each level.
Okay. And how can interested parents or guardians register for camp?
Our applications are due the 27th of July, so we'll take applications up until that date. And if parents or guardians have any questions, we invite them to call, talk to us about their concerns or their questions.
And do they call to get an application?
They can. They can call our office to get an application. They can also go online and print one off and send to us.
Okay, so that would be hospiceofwc.org. Okay.
Correct.
All right, and we'll give the phone number at the end of the program. Can you tell us about the role volunteers play at this camp and how someone who might be interested in getting involved can be of service?
Absolutely. Volunteers are absolutely crucial to this program. We couldn't make it happen without their support, because we attempt to match every single child with an adult volunteer who acts as what we call a big buddy and goes through the entire camp experience, providing that one-on-one support for those times that it's appropriate to bring up a story or to talk about their feelings, they've got a trained volunteer right there by their side. Or if it's just someone to run off and play and have fun and do silly things with.
Partner or whatever.
Exactly.
Right,
exactly.
right. Okay.
And an important part, sometimes people mistakenly think that they have to already be a hospice volunteer in order to be appropriate for this camp. Anybody over the age of 18 who has a caring, compassionate heart is appropriate to volunteer for our camp. We provide all the necessary training. Of course, we do background checks, but we provide everything that an adult would need to be appropriate to volunteer.
Great, and so they can just get in touch with you.
Yes.
I imagine you get a number of children who have such a good experience at camp that they want to come again. Do kids get to repeat at camp?
Unfortunately, no, because unfortunately there are so many children in this community who have experienced a death. We really would want a place for children to come and attend. But I get that question all the time, even at camp, children who are so excited and they say, I want to come next year. We do realize that they need ongoing support, so because of that, we've developed a camp reunion to get together and still process with them.
And you also offer a teen group?
We do. Starting in June, we'll have a 6-week support group for teens between the ages of 13 and 17.
Okay, and we're getting close to the end of time, but before you go, I just wanted to congratulate the hospice bereavement team. You were recently named the Outstanding Community Partner by the Department of Social Services. Real briefly, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, it's been such an honor to be recognized and to be able to work with them to serve our community and to serve all of the other organizations within the community. We're all doing this together, doing the best we can, and that little bit of acknowledgement was a blessing.
And you do go
Very
into
nice.
schools to support kids too.
Oh, we sure do.
So I think that's something not everybody knows.
We sure
Well, thank
do.
you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to thank Kathy for telling us about Camp Hope and Cope and encourage you, our viewers, to contact her if you know of a child who might benefit from attending. Camp Hope and Cope provides campers with opportunities to learn coping skills, connect with others who understand, and participate in activities that build self-esteem and trust. It offers a safe, comfortable environment for children to express their grief and, most importantly, to truly understand that they're not alone. Just knowing that there are other kids who are going through the same thing decreases the pain of loneliness and eases the sense of isolation. Perhaps Kathy expressed it best when she said, through the interaction with other children and adults, the campers experience the universality of loss and learn that they are not alone in their grief. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
I've been working with Linda McCollum now for 20 years. The people in the office are very knowledgeable of what they do, and they're also very caring and customer-oriented. My little granddaughter, when she says, "Pappy, I love you," that's just so precious. If I wouldn't have had the hearing aid on, I wouldn't have heard it.
Let McCollum Hearing Center help you rediscover the sounds of your life.
Hi, I am Dr. Olenzak at the Pain and Spine Institute. I specialize in the most advanced procedures and technology available in pain management. At your visits and procedures, you will always see me for continuity of care. I would like to thank all of my patients for allowing me to provide you with the specialized care that you need. To give you this level of care requires a team. This is your team at the Pain and Spine Institute. To become a patient, call 301-739-7900 or go to painfree-md.com.
I'm glad you're still with us because our next guest is going to share some potentially life-saving information. Today, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. William Bashke, the most involved senior volunteer I've ever had the privilege to meet. He volunteers, if I counted correctly, with at least 6 different organizations. Bill agreed to be on today's program because as a member of SALT, which stands for Senior and Law Enforcement Together Council, he promotes the Yellow Dot program, a program designed to help first responders obtain critical information when called to the scene of a car accident. Welcome, Bill, and thank you for being here today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here. So can you briefly explain the Yellow Dot program to our viewers?
The Yellow Dot program basically is a national program. It it works to help first responders learn about the medical situations of somebody they're treating. For example, if they have an accident or there's a medical emergency on the road, they can actually get information that they need and then maybe save their life in order to treat that person. That piece of paper may give them allergies and those kind of things.
So the Yellow Dot is...
the Yellow Dot is actually this piece of paper.
Okay.
That goes on the left rear of your window on the outside in Washington County. It's got Washington County Sheriff's Office on it. And in the glove box is this, which has a medical information card and some other information in there. And people put other things in here besides that. They put their MOLS form in there. They put extra medical information. They put their living will in there.
I actually heard that they can put a picture of themselves too. So
yeah,
make
and
sure
a picture is a good idea because if you have two people, let's say two women in a car, who knows which is which, you know?
Right.
And the names are on the outside, but we don't have any identification. Their purses are all over the place. So basically, we like to have the photo. I have a photo of mine in mine. And many of the programs throughout the country do that.
So basically, when first responders show up, and if they see this on the back of a car,
then
they should look for that information.
And of course, you can see that if you have a lot of stuff in your glove box, at least you can figure out where this is because it's got the same sticker as that.
Okay, so if somebody is watching today and they're interested in being part of the Yellow Dot program, how do they enroll? How do they get a Yellow Dot sticker?
Well, we have actually the senior center, our senior activity center, has agreed to give them the supplies they need.
Okay.
And also in the envelope here is a description of the program, so it's pretty well figure out what to do.
Okay.
And I just told most people what to do. You put this sticker on the outside of your car, you put information in here you think first responders will need, and you put this in your glove box, and
they can pick these up at the Washington County Senior.
And the manager of the senior center just told me that she will supply us with supplies.
Good.
Including this, because you should update the thing, so we're going to get extra cards out there in case you want to update your medical information.
That's perfect. And Mr. Bashke, in addition to educating the public about the Yellow Dot program, you're involved in volunteer efforts in our community in so many different ways. So can you tell us just about some of the other ways you serve our community?
Well, a couple of them. I am the district chairman or district coordinator for the ARP driver safety course, and I have all three counties under my wing, and it's the Allegheny, Cumberland, Allegheny, Garrett, and Washington County. And we do that ARP driver safety program that you're maybe familiar with. I work for Homewood to schedule people for the mitten shop. I work for the sheriff's office and doing things there. I can't remember all the things I do sometimes.
Yeah. Well, our community is certainly better off because of all your service, and I know that this Yellow Dot program has the potential to, as I said earlier, save lives, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come and tell our viewers about it.
Sounds good.
I'm glad you're here today. I'm so grateful to Bill for educating all of us on the importance of the Yellow Dot program. Arnold Glasgow, a renowned businessman, once said, "One of the true tests of leadership is the ability to recognize a problem before it becomes an emergency." I'd like to thank Bill for his leadership. He not only clearly recognized the problem faced by many first responders, he is working diligently to promote a solution. Stay tuned. I'll be right back after this important message.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend to everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up. It's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
From the smallest item of jewelry to the largest ceramic elephant, every 10,000 villages handcrafted product makes a remarkable journey.
All over the world, our products travel similar paths, over thousands of miles and years of artistic tradition. Our handcrafted gifts represent work that builds villages and sustains souls. They are the dream of a better life made real. Every product is a miracle.
Welcome back to Healing, Hope, and Health. Our next two guests, who are strong advocates for the arts, and they are even stronger advocates for students. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Rob Habermael, the principal of Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Dr. Habermael received his undergraduate and graduate degrees in music education from Towson University and completed his doctoral studies through University of Maryland in educational leadership. It's accurate to say that the arts are both Rob's vocation and avocation. In addition to serving as the supervisor of visual and performing arts for WCPS for 11 years, he was the band director at E. Russell Hicks and a guest conductor around the state. He enjoys composing and arranging original music for local production and plays with the band Staff Infection. I'd also like to introduce Denise Hunt, who has been employed by WCPS for 28 years. In that time, she stepped on almost every rung of the career ladder as she pursued numerous educational opportunities. She earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Wilson College and a master's degree in educational leadership from Hood College. She's now the assistant principal of BISPA, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts, and Denise says that she has always been inspired by the arts and thrilled to be a part of the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Thank you both for taking time to be here today. We're so glad that you could join us.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're here today to tell us a little bit about a partnership that we have, that Hospice Washington County has with the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. And I was wondering, before we get talking about that, if you can just tell us a little bit about your school's mission.
Well, the School for the Arts mission, a lot of people think it is an arts school, but our main mission is to prepare students for college. Really, we're a pre-college prep environment, getting kids to be ready in an arts platform or a non-arts platform as well.
Okay.
That's our main goal and vision.
And how many students attend BISPA?
Currently, we have about 287 students attending Barbara Ingram School for the Arts.
And is it a full range so they can take all the academic classes, I guess, if it's a college prep?
This is a comprehensive high school, so they have everything that they would have at a normal comprehensive high school except enlarged art programs, basically. And we're an hour longer to get all the art programs in. So they have a discipline based, and they go on a certain track with that certain arts discipline. And then they complement that with all the AP classes and the honors classes.
And now I was just going to ask if one of you could tell us about the different tracks that the students, I guess, sign up for in a particular area of study for art.
Well, and that's how they get into the school. They audition in. We don't look at any grades coming in, although once they get in, they do have to stay on that honors level, course level. But they can audition in on music, theater, dance. We have portfolio reviews for creative writing or for visual arts. And they were selected solely on that.
That's great. Well, one of the things that has happened as the school has grown and expanded, space has become a priority, and that leads us to our conversation about a partnership between the Community Life Center in Hagerstown and the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. So could you tell us how you're utilizing the Community Life Center in Hagerstown?
Well, we're always looking for more space. As Denise said, we have about 287 students right now. 300 really is our max. The building downtown that's known as Barbara Ingram is the arts building, but then we also have other buildings that we utilize to get in our academic classes, our creative writing department. We use the Maryland Theater, we use the Bridge of Life for a cafeteria. So we're always struggling to meet space. Kids are rehearsing in the hallways and the stairwells, anywhere they can. And as the programs grow and as more kids come in, we need space. And Hospice has helped us tremendously by offering a room that we have our therapist that comes in. We have a Brook Lane therapist through a grant program. And then we're also looking at trying to get our guitar program that is completely outspaced of our second floor music program. We just don't have room. and this would give them location to do that as well.
And Hospice Washington County is so pleased to be able to share its community life center space with you and with other nonprofits and individuals. You know, that space is there to provide grief and bereavement counseling, but we also want the community to access it. And with having the kids there, it just adds so much vitality. I love hearing them going up and down the steps. And you're also in that building on the 4th floor, right, for your English programs?
Yes, we are. And just to add, we do use 5 buildings downtown.
Wow.
We use the University of Maryland, and as you said, we use the Grand, and then we have Best Rep Bridge of Life, and also the Maryland Theater. But yes, very active, and we're on the 4th floor there.
That's great. Can you tell us, does BISFA or any of the students plan to be involved in the community life centers in any other ways in the future?
Yes, what we'd really like to do, and we've talked about this, some murals, hopefully get our visual artists involved in painting some murals throughout the center. And we've also had some students already take part in some of the programs that you have, and I think that's a great combination because really Barbara Ingram downtown is part of the community down there, and it is a community feel down there.
Right.
So we want to be as much a part of that program as you are of us. So.
And so, you know, the students you're referring to, they led a program called Facebook for Seniors and last summer. So I guess part of the message that we want to get out today is not just for the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts students, but any students or any individuals who want to share their talents or passion. Let us know. We hope we can hook you up with some space.
Absolutely, that would be great because, I mean, students would love to share their talents, teaching people how to play instruments, more or less, or even our creative writers writing the poetry, and I know they have written some stories working with other organizations, so
that would be really great. Well, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Rob and Denise for being part of today's show. I'd also like to thank them and all WCPS educators for their commitment to the students of Washington County. Hospice of Washington County is pleased to share its space with the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. HWC, which is committed to strengthening the community, offers space in all 3 of its community life centers to individuals, nonprofits, and groups willing to offer programs that benefit others. If you have a passion, a hobby, a talent, or a skill that you want to share, contact me at Hospice of Washington County. It would be my pleasure to assist you with developing, promoting, and implementing your program. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this short break.
Barbers Carson Jewelers has been your community jeweler for over 110 years. We have the region's largest selection of diamonds, designer jewelry, including bridal, gold, and silver fashion jewelry, and fine Swiss timepieces. We strive to combine quality, expert personal attention, and affordable financing to create an exceptional shopping experience aimed at exceeding your expectations. At Carson's Jewelers, there's something for everyone that will bring a smile to that someone special in your life.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up. It's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
Welcome back to Healing, Hope, and Health. Of course, all of the guests on this program are wonderful, but I especially enjoy interviewing Hospice of Washington County volunteers. Hospice of Washington County, which during its infancy was entirely run by volunteers, today couldn't exist without them. It is my pleasure to introduce Melissa Fountain, who was recently recognized for her 5 years of volunteer service. Melissa is a facility liaison at NMS, where she visits with numerous patients on a weekly basis. In addition to the 500+ hours of patient contact she has logged, Melissa also graciously spoke at last year's Gift of Hospice and regularly serves on a volunteer panel where she speaks of her experience to those attending volunteer training. Welcome, Melissa. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you could make it. How long have you been a Hospice of Washington County volunteer, and has your role always been the same, or have you done different?
Well, you know, it's interesting, when I started and went through training, and you mentioned I just got my 5-year badge, and I didn't even know it had been 5 years until I got the lineup of who was receiving recognition at our annual event, and I was one of them, so that's kind of exciting. No, I went through training, and I started out as just a regular companion volunteer. I was assigned my very first patient. I was excited to go for the first visit, and unfortunately before I got there the patient had passed away. And at that time, hospice was in need of facility liaison, so the staff had asked me, do you mind switching over to be one of those? And I said, not at all, and that's what I've done the whole time. I've been at the same nursing home, NMS, the entire time that I've been with hospice, which helps because you get to know the staff. And then my patient count rotates, of course, with whomever is there at that facility.
And so do you usually go on the same day each week? Or?
I do. The weekends work better for me since I have a full-time job. So every Sunday afternoon after church, that's how I usually spend my time. Yeah,
that's great. That's great. Well, what was the process like for you to become a volunteer? And was the training did meet your needs? And did you feel comfortable going into that role?
I did. I'm a pretty open person, so for me to be a part of a group and kind of work with them is fine, but that's exactly what it is. There are different training times, and my specific training class was during the day, so it was pretty much half my day. My employer at the time, because of the nature of the involvement being, hospice being so highly regarded in the community, let me go as part of my workday, so that was very helpful. Yeah, it was a week's worth of training. It was pretty intensive, and what's interesting is one of the pieces of training, because you go through so many, there are so many different things to learn from so many different parts of hospice, but one of my favorite was when a volunteer came in, because you're just nervous to get started. And hearing their experience and hearing their stories, and knowing that, you know, these particular volunteers that came in to talk to my training group had been doing it for quite some time. So
and now you're doing that same thing, right?
Yeah, so that's what's kind of neat about that. Being a volunteer after a few years, I was asked to come in and speak directly to training groups, which I do. I pretty much do each training group. I go in with some other volunteers, and it kind of helps me with the information that I give them, because I knew exactly what I wanted from those volunteers who spoke to me, and I know where you get nervous and what can be hardest when you're starting out. So.
Well, do you have a particular memorable experience that you go back to as a touchstone that really gives you, inspires you and makes you feel good?
Well, a lot of the patients that I deal with are dementia patients, and so there's not a lot of recognition when I go in. Rarely do my patients remember me from a time before, but every once in a while, whether I'm leaving or maybe I'm coming in and I get like a slight smile, or once from a patient who had never shown any recognition. As I was leaving, she said she would miss me. Yeah, and so it's those little pieces of recognition for what I do that makes me feel really good.
And what do you enjoy most about volunteering?
Probably knowing that, again, with my patients in a nursing home setting, they may not get a lot of visitors. They may not get a lot of love. And, you know, that's something that I've learned from being a volunteer with hospice, that everybody needs somebody, if even just to sit and hold their hand.
So you say that's something you learned. Is there any other nugget of wisdom that you want to pass on?
Well, just, you know, being a part of hospice is being a part of something much bigger. What I love about hospice as an organization is that they recognize all of their staff and all of their members, and they realize that a volunteer such as myself that is only part of hospice specifically once a week for about 4 hours plays just a big of a role as one of the nurses that are on staff.
We consider the volunteers as part of the team. And
yes, and I appreciate that. But it's being a part of hospice has connected me to so many other things in the community, And now, not only volunteering for the patients, but I try to get involved in other hospice activities as well.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
I'd like to thank Melissa for joining us for today's episode of Healing, Hope, and Help, and for the gift of her presence that she gives each week to the patients she visits. I'd also like to present her with some blankets after the show that have been made by the Hancock Knitwits to give to her patients at NMS. Melissa's generosity is inspiring, and I find myself recalling words spoken by Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." If you would like to volunteer, please contact Hospice of Washington County. Thanks so much. See you next time.